I'm Angelica Guajardo, licensed marriage and family therapist and thanatologist, and I'm here today with my good friend.
Draven Bennington. I'm the son of Chester Bennington.
Of Linkin Park.
Yes.
So we're here today to spend some time as we honor Suicide Prevention Week of 2017. And he's willing to share some of his story, and thank you so much for being here today. And I know this is a really hard time for you and for your mom, and but I know you had some things you wanted to share about your experience with this loss. So could you share a little bit about what it was like? Let's go back to the day that you found out. So now, what was the date that you found out?
July 20th, and it like, you know, you wake up and it's regular morning. You wake up a little late. It's go downstairs, watch TV, and I was sitting next to my friend, and his dad was cooking, and my mom was downstairs too, and then she gets a phone call, freaked out, went upstairs. We didn't know what was happening. We were sitting on the couch watching TV, and then she calls my friend's dad upstairs, and he leaves the stove on and it's still sizzling for like 15 minutes, and we're still watching TV, not thinking about anything. And then the doors in our house aren't very soundproof, so we can hear a lot of what's happening, but not like specifics, just like loud like crying and stuff. So I'm just trying to think of everything that could have happened that wasn't like super serious. Like,
So your mind was already starting to think things.
yeah.
So then, it was your mom who shared, or who told you?
Yes.
So, can you share a little bit about once you were told, what was your initial response?
It was shocking. I really didn't expect it. Like, the thought popped in my head like once, and then I just thought it wasn't gonna be that way.
Like, it can't be possible.
Yeah.
So, it's been 2 months. And as we talked about earlier, I feel like each day in grief time, or like a month, is like a day.
Yeah.
Because like the time is off. So it's in grief time, it's been like 2 days
Yeah.
since you've lost your dad.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple things going on that are so, as you know, just pretty complicated here, because obviously your dad died. That's enough. That's more than enough. And then knowing that he took his own life. Can you share a little bit about just like what you're experiencing right now, and what's that like for you to know that he's gone?
It's, you know, it still doesn't feel like it actually happened. You always think like, oh, maybe he's like on vacation and someone just found someone else, and you know, maybe he'll pop back, and I don't know.
Like it was a mistake.
Like, yeah.
Like a big joke or spoof or
Yeah.
something, a bad joke.
Yeah. And then it's hard because sometimes you just sit down and you start thinking about it, and like I came across old home videos that he had, and then just like things like that really start thinking. It sucks.
Totally sucks.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. How are you? I mean, this is new. Like you said, 2 months, but 2 days.
Yeah.
How are you getting through right now, just day by day? How are you coping?
I mean, it never really leaves my mind, but I just try to distract myself with like friends, other things, like maybe like walking the dog, or just playing video games, like just trying to get my mind into a different zone. But then I'll sit down and I'll like take an hour shower and just think about it.
Those sound like good, healthy coping skills. I was curious about, because I didn't know your father, but I'm a fan of his music. Of the songs, because he was very raw in the things that he talked about in his music. And he talked about real feelings that sometimes some people are afraid to talk about. But your dad was brave enough to talk about the things that were hurting him, depression. And so I'm wondering, when you hear his music, is there any particular song that's meaningful to you or that you've placed thought?
I listen to the songs just to hear his voice. And I don't put I put thought into it, but I think about memories just every time I hear it. I don't have one song that I stick with. It changes a lot.
What do you remember most about your dad?
Up at the cabin when he'd put on his toed shoes and his bucket hat and cargo shorts and just white tank top and just goof around.
He was a funny guy.
Yeah.
That's good. So, what do you think your dad would want of you now?
I think he'd really want me to what do you mean?
Just, what do you think, if he could look down on you right now, what do you think he would have in store for you? What are his wishes for you?
I think he really wanted all of his children to get a really good education. So I think he'd really want me to work hard in school and go to college and figure out what I want to do and follow my passion.
What do you want to do?
I have no idea.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You got some time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, as far as suicide, what would you like to share on that matter?
It's different. It's hard because it's not you can't blame it on a lot of things. You think about it and it's more their choice or because they're depressed and sad, and it's harder to cope on why it happened.
For sure. So, knowing that your dad took his life, how would you share with other youth who've had a loss to suicide? What might you share with them?
Take it slow, as slow as possible. Really, it's time. It's I know it seems I went to school and no one knew, which I'm so happy about, because then I wasn't constantly being brought up with the reminder. But it's hard to deal with the fact that everything else is moving on and it's going and it's continuing and you're kind of stuck in one place.
For sure. And like we were talking about earlier, it's on the one hand, you're I don't want anybody to notice. But then you're but wait, nobody's acknowledging me and my pain.
Yeah.
So I think it probably changes from day to day.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you think?
I mean, it was really weird to have no one really bring it up besides at home and family and friends, and it was really weird because I just kind of jumped in. I had way too much on my plate. Because I planned it from last year. I didn't plan it on I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't
Sure.
plan my schedule smaller. I had too much going on, and
Like as far as like your school schedule?
yeah, and I didn't realize it, but like it was way too much at the beginning, and then no one brought it up, and so I was spending a lot of my time working instead of sitting down and thinking about it and processing.
For sure. And you know, it's totally okay. And again, you get into this all or nothing. Sometimes people say, okay, well, I want to stay busy so that I can keep my mind off of that. So I need to stay focused on other things. And that's good. It's good to have a diversion from thinking that those sad thoughts all the time. And then the opposite is true though too, because you fill your plate so much that you're not giving yourself the permission to just be. And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So it's okay to say no. It totally is okay to say no. And so it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
And you know, to say, you know what, up to this point, and that's more than enough. You know what, when you get up in the morning, get dressed, go to school, do what those requirements are, and get up and do it the next day, and get up and do it the next day, you're doing enough when you're a Draven team. When you're a Draven person, it's hard to do just that. And kids out there who've also had a loss, they know what we're talking about. But people who don't know, that's the reality of it, is just getting up and doing the normal everyday stuff. It takes work just to do that. You know, like when we were talking with your mom earlier, and she was talking about how she hasn't had the energy to just cook a meal.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have been coming here to eat just about every day, right? But I understand that, because when you're grieving, you know, it's a lot of steps. You have to go make sure the groceries are bought. You have to plan the meal. You have to cook the meal, and then you have to clean up after the meal. And it's like, it's just easier to go out to eat, you know. But at some point, there will be small adjustments, and you'll start to make a new normal for yourself. But day by day, little by little, because I know your mom adores you, and she seems like a doting mother. She's gonna take care of her little baby. But what are the strengths and what are the challenges for a parent? So if you're like, I mean, I know you only know your experience with your mom, but like, what can you say to your mom? Mom, this is helpful, this is not helpful. What do you need?
I think there's like certain amount of points where it can get a little too overwhelming, and then because they want you the best for you, so if you bring up like something and that was like really bothering you, sometimes it can be like, instead of talking about it, they'll just like immediately like want to like fix it.
Do you want to be fixed?
I'm okay.
You're okay.
Yeah.
And so how would your mom, because then I hear the other side, and the moms of the world and your mom are like, but I want to help, I want to make sure he's okay. So what do you think would be a reasonable check-in without feeling like, oh my gosh? What do you think would be reasonable?
I mean, talking about it, it's hard to like know when to talk about it and what to talk about of it, but like once in a while, like just check in, because sometimes it's harder than other times, and it's like just the process.
And it is tough on everybody, because your mom and the people who love you, they have a responsibility to make sure you're safe and to check in with you and all of that. But then there's also the point of where it can be overwhelming for you. It's like, I'm okay, trust me, I'm okay. So I think that the open communication is really important.
Yeah.
And having met your mom and knowing how much she cares about you, I know that if you would say, you know, kind of assert yourself more and be like, I got this, Mom, I'm okay for right now, I'll come to you. So what kind of a commitment could you give to your mom to say, okay, Mom, if I have this need, I will come see you? Or what could be a way? I mean, do you feel comfortable just going right to her and saying, I need this help? Or what might be realistic?
I like to process a lot on my own because I feel like it's harder when Mom's like trying to help you process, because then she feels bad about it, and then she cries too, and then you feel bad for like making her sad about it too, and then it's just, I mean, I know if there was anything I really needed to talk about, like if it was like if I was too depressed, or if I was something like along those lines, I know I would go to her. But it's kind of easy to sometimes take a step back.
For sure. And so, since this happened, I'm sure you've gotten some information about suicide prevention, and plus knowing, having lived with it, knowing your dad had suffered with depression and such. What do you know are some of the signs to look for, or some maybe things to be cautious of?
I mean, he was really good at hiding it. I saw him a week before, and it was just, I would not even be able to tell one thing was different. I thought everything was going great.
So it's hard.
It was really difficult. I mean, it's just now after it happened, you kind of think if it was planned, because I was there the week before, that I saw him, that I got to see him, and I got to spend time with him. But it's really difficult when you're in that moment to actually tell.
That's for sure. Because not everybody. You okay?
Yeah, it's just hard.
It's a lot. Thank you for sharing. And there are some things we can look for. When you see changes in somebody's behavior, when some of the more common, obvious things are like sometimes a person will give their items away. Sometimes they'll talk about, they'll say, I want to end my life, or I'm thinking of killing myself, or something like this. And those are like the more obvious signs. If somebody's using substances and that has increased, things like that, those are the more obvious ones. For young people, like maybe somebody who is like doing well in school and now their grades drop.
Yeah.
Or somebody who is very social now becomes very isolated. Those are some signs that we can look for. But in the case of your dad, he was really good at hiding it, sounds like. And so you don't always know. That's what makes it even harder, because you can't always help it.
Yeah.
If you had an opportunity to say a message to your dad and you knew that he could hear it, what would you say to him right now?
Just that I love him, and that I wish anything else besides that. Like, I wish that he would reach out more, and that he would have talked about it. I know he did a little bit, but then he covered up a lot. Like, he opened up, and then, then he starts changing his attitude, and he started working out more, and seemed to really fit and really happy, and he didn't seem like he was as depressed as he was.
Clearly. Wow. Anything else? Thank you. Love this kid.